Okay, here our first topic for MEP-1 students in mathematics. The first topic we have absolute value and opposite numbers. We're talking about the absolute value in opposite numbers. So again, I am Lainey P. Palacio, that is your mathematics teacher. Here are our vocabulary words in absolute value and opposite numbers. The first vocabulary, we have absolute value. Second, opposite numbers. Next, we have integers. Another vocabulary, we have units. Next vocabulary, we have between, distance. Another vocabulary, we have positive integers, negative integers, symbol, greater than, less than, equal to. That are your vocabulary words in absolute value and opposite numbers in mathematics. Okay, let's proceed to our topic for today. The first 1.1 absolute value of an integer. Again, absolute value of an integer. We are talking about absolute value. Okay, what is absolute value? So the definition is absolute value is the distance from zero. The absolute value, just like distance, is always positive. As you can see here, absolute value of negative 2 is equal to 2. And how many units are there here? There are 2. 1 and 2. Starting from 0, so we have 1, you count for 1, and 2. So therefore, there are 2 units here. In the other one side, the absolute value of 3 is equal to 3. So how many units? There are 3 units. So we have 1, 2, and 3. Okay, absolute value of an integer is distance from 0 on a number line. The symbol for absolute value is this one. This is the symbol of absolute value. So therefore, there are the example here. So the absolute value of negative 3 is equal to 3. The absolute value of 3 is equal to 3. So how many units are there? There are 3 units. So starting from 0, so we have count 1, 2, and 3. Another one here at the positive side, here at the negative side. Therefore, there are 3 units here. So we have 1, 2, and 3. Again, absolute values are never negative. So therefore, always a positive sign. So we have opposite numbers, integers, have the same absolute value. So the absolute value of 0 is equal to 0. Another example for absolute value, how many units are there? There are 3 units. Starting from 0, so we have 1, 2, and 3. So here are the 3 units. Okay. So the distance from 3 to 0 is equal to 3 units. The absolute value, 3 is 3, which is represented by the absolute value of 3. So absolute value of 3 is read as the absolute value of 3, which is equal to 3. And the distance from negative 3 to 0 is equal to 3 units. The absolute value 3 is 3, which is represented by the absolute value of negative 3. Now, the absolute value of negative 3 is read as the absolute value of 3, which is equal to 3. Hence, the absolute value of 3 is equal to 3, and the absolute value of negative 3 is equal to 3. Here are the another examples. So we have here the line from 0 to negative 6 and 0 to positive 6. So how many units are there? There are 6 units. So from here the 0, so you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 6, and the other one is 6 units. In the above picture, the absolute value of negative 6 is equal to 6. The absolute value of 6 is 6. Next, another example, we have draw the absolute value of a number on the number line. The absolute value is 4 and negative 4. So you can draw. So you draw or illustrate it the same. So we have here from 0 to negative 5, 0 to positive 5. So how many units are there? Only 4 units. From here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The other one, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is the units. So 4 units are there. Next example, draw the absolute value of a number on the number line. The absolute value is 6 and negative 6. So that is the line. So how many units are there? There are 6 units. So we have count here 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. In the other one, the positive is 6 units. Okay, you must take note, remark, let A be a number. So here, the absolute value of A, if A is greater than 0, this is the symbol of greater than 0. And then 0 if A is equal to 0, this is equal to 0. This is a symbol of equal. Next, negative A if A less than 0. This is the symbol of less than or smaller than. Example for that. For example, A is equal to negative 2. Thus, the absolute value of A is equal to the absolute value of negative 2. Therefore, is equal to negative, you multiply. Negative, you multiply by negative 2. Therefore, the answer is 2. Another one. If B is equal to negative 6, thus, the absolute value of B is equal to the absolute value of negative 6. So, you must substitute B is equal to negative 6. So, we have here is equal to negative, you multiply by negative 6. So, you multiply here, we have negative, you multiply by negative is positive. Therefore, the answer is positive 6. Another example. If C is equal to 8, thus, the absolute value of C is equal to, the absolute value of 8 is equal to 8. Okay, let's proceed. 1.3 opposite numbers. So, opposite numbers, the value of a positive integer will be equal to the absolute value of a negative integers when they have the same distance from 0 on a number line. Example, the positive 4, the opposite is that is negative 4. So we have here 4 and negative 4. So it's the graph. Okay, you draw a line. And then, that is from 0 to negative 5 and 0 to positive 5. How many units are there? There are 4 units. Okay, 4 units. And next, thus, 4 is the opposite number of negative 4. So, 4 is the opposite number of negative 4. And negative 4 is the opposite number of 4. Note that the opposite number of 0 is 0 itself. If A is any number, the opposite number of A has only one number, and it is written as negative A. Next, here are exercises. So the first exercises, number 1, fill in the blanks with the correct answers. Okay, here the problem. For number 1, the absolute value of negative 9 is blank. So what is the answer of that? Later we will answer. Number 2, the absolute value of 40 and that of negative 40 are blank. Number 3. The absolute value of blank and that of blank are 60. Number 4. The absolute value of blank and that of r blank are 180. In number 5, the absolute value of 11 is blank. For number 1, so the absolute value of negative 9 is equal to 9. So the absolute value of 40 and that of negative 40 are positive 40. So we have the absolute value of negative 60 and that of positive 60 are 60. The absolute value of negative 180 and that of 180 are 180. The absolute value of 11 is 11. Here are the answer key. Okay, again, number 1, 9. Number 2, 40. Number 3, negative 60 and 60. Number 4, negative 180 and 180. Number 5, 11. Okay, let's proceed. Another example, we have fill in the words greater than, less than, or equal to. So you write only greater than, less than, or equal to in the blanks such that each sentence is true. The first example we have 48 blank negative 48. Number 2, the absolute value of 135 blank the absolute value of negative 135. Number 3, the absolute value of negative 110 is blank the absolute value of 90. Number 4, the absolute value of negative 50 blank the absolute value of negative 102. Number 5, the absolute value of negative 26 blank the absolute value of negative 22. Okay, let's answer. For number 1, so 48. So the answer is 48 blank negative 48. The answer is greater than. Number 2, the absolute value of 135. The answer is equal to the absolute value of negative 135. They are the same. So number 3, the absolute value of negative 110 greater than the absolute value of 90. Because the greater than is, we have the absolute value is 110. This is the highest number. Number 4, the absolute value of negative 50 less than the absolute value of negative 102. Next, number 5, the absolute value of negative 26 is greater than the absolute value of negative 22. Here are the answer key if you want. So number 1, greater than. Number 2, equal to. Number 3, greater than. Number 4, less than. Number 5, greater than. Other exercises. We proceed for number 3 exercises. Fill in this the symbol for greater than, less than, and equal to in the blank such that each sentence is true. Excuse me. Number 1, negative 42 blank 40. Number 2, the absolute value of negative 46 blank 46. Number 3, the absolute value of 30 blank the absolute value of negative 35. Number 4, the absolute value of negative 91 blank the absolute value of 19. Number 5, the absolute value of 130 blank the absolute value of negative 310. Now let's answer. For number 1, negative 42 less than 40. The highest is 40. Number 2, the absolute value of negative 46 is equal to 46. Next, number 3, the absolute value of 30 less than the absolute value of negative 35. Number 4, the absolute value of negative 91 greater than the absolute value of 19. Number 5, the absolute value of 130 less than the absolute value of negative 310. Here are the answer key. Number 1, less than. Number 2, equal to. Number 3, less than. Number 4, greater than. Number 5, less than. Okay, another exercises. Number 4, fill in the blanks with the correct answer. So number 1, the opposite number of negative 11 is blank. Number 2, the opposite number of 240 is blank. Number 3, the opposite number of negative 370 is blank. Number 4, the opposite number of 560 is blank. And number 5, the opposite number of negative 2,810 is blank. Okay, again, let's answer. So the opposite number of negative 11 is positive 11. Number 2, the opposite number of 240 is negative 240. The opposite number of negative 370 is positive 370. Number 4, the opposite number of 560 is negative 560. In number 5, the opposite number of negative 2,810 is 2,810. Here are the answer key if you want. Number 1, 11. Number 2, negative 240. Number 3, 370. Number 4, negative 560. And number 5, positive 2,810. Again, that is for our lesson for today. Thank you. Bye.